And with more on Micah Parsons, the Cowboys, and the rest of the big news on an NFL Friday, we say hello to CBS Sports NFL writer John Breech. All right, we're going to start with this. 2 to 4 weeks is what some people are saying. Stephen Jones says it's week to week. Won't rule out Micah Parsons against the Steelers. The news we're hearing is all over the map. None of it particularly good. This defense hasn't exactly been shutting teams down this season. How do they account for Parsons being out if he can't go?
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely brutal. I think if you're the Cowboys, you're staring at your schedule. It is not easy over the next 2 weeks. You look at the Steelers in week 5, the Lions in week 6, but then there's that little light at the end of the tunnel, and that's that they have a bye in week 7. So best case scenario, maybe you hope that Parsons can play because he gets 10 days between week 4 and week 5. Worst case scenario, he's out until the bye. He comes back in week 8 against the 49ers. So if he is out for a week or two until he's back on the field, if you're the Cowboys, there's no way to replace a guy like Micah Parsons. What you have to do is hope that you have other players who step up. Marshawn Dillon, their rookie second-round pick, he's a guy who needs to step up. You don't have great depth there if you're Dallas. They have other guys on the line. Tyler Sweet, who was an undrafted free agent that signed last year. They have Carl Lawson coming off an Achilles injury. So they don't have a lot of great pieces to put there. You got to cross your fingers, hope Parsons heals quickly, and hope really the offense steps up and carries some of the load, starts scoring more points, so there's not so much pressure on the defense.
No, at least the Cowboys got a win on Thursday night. What turned out to be, or at least looked like, a battle of relative equals between the Cowboys and Giants in the NFC East. Giants rookie Malik Nabers has emerged as the team's biggest offensive threat this season. 35 catches, 3 touchdowns, 3 games, and now he's on concussion protocol after suffering the injury late in the fourth quarter of that Thursday night home loss to the Cowboys. All right, so the Giants, they've got an extended break after the Thursday night game, but how big of a deal has the former LSU star been, and how big of a loss would this be for the Giants offense that hasn't really done a whole lot of anything else beyond him lately?
Yeah, what Nabers has done through 4 weeks has been nothing short of amazing for a rookie. I mean, he's made Daniel Jones a better quarterback. That is how good Nabers has been. We're looking at 35 receptions through 4 weeks, which is the second highest total for any rookie receiver in NFL history. And so if you take him out of this offense, even if it's just for a week or two, they're going to struggle. They don't really have anyone who can kind of step in and fill that gap. Daniel Jones has only completed 91 passes this year. 38.5% of those went to Nabers. So you're talking about that's going to have to go somewhere else. It's just been kind of his security blanket. Nabers gets open, makes life easy for Daniel Jones. So I think if you're the Giants, you're kind of keeping your fingers crossed here. You have 10 days between your week 4 game and your week 5 game. You hope that Malik Nabers can get cleared from concussion protocol, but obviously this is not an injury they're going to rush back. So maybe it's week 6, but you do hope he can be on the field in week 5.
All right, now we've looked at that Thursday night game and what's come out of it. Let's take a look at some notable injuries from the Friday injury report. Green Bay, they've been 2-0 with Malik Willis under center with Jordan Love getting closer to a return. He's questionable for Sunday against the Vikings. Niners are going to get George Kittle back in the lineup this week, and Brock Purdy's been cleared to play as he deals with a back injury, but Trent Williams, he's banged up with a toe. Deebo Samuel, still questionable as he handles a calf injury that kept him out of the lineup last week. And back with CBS Sports NFL writer John Breech as we look at this weekend's NFL games. Let's start with the Eagles. They've got major injury concerns in that wideout room. Devontae Smith has been ruled out with a concussion, the one he suffered in the win over the Saints. And A.J. Brown questionable with that hammy that's kept him out of the last 2 games. Where does this leave Philly offensively as they head to Tampa?
You know, Russ, if you'd asked me this question last year, I would have been worried. But when I see injuries like this with the Philly offense, it really makes the Saquon Barkley signing look absolutely genius. I mean, this is going to be the signing that could save the Eagles season. We saw A.J. Brown miss the week 3 game against New Orleans. So what did Philadelphia do? They won the game with Saquon Barkley and playing great defense. I mean, Barkley ran all over the Saints, and that was a big reason why they were able to win. Now you have it reversed here, where A.J. Brown might play. Devontae Smith won't be playing in week 4, and I think we'll see the same recipe from the Eagles, where you need your defense to play well, and you give Barkley the ball 25 times. He's averaging over 115 yards per game this season. The Buccaneers haven't been very good at stopping the run. They're giving up over 130 yards on the ground. So I think that's the key here, is that you can survive without A.J. Brown, without Devontae Smith for a week or two. Obviously, they need those guys if they're going to to be winning the NFC East. If they're going to be playoff contenders, Super Bowl contenders, those guys have to be on the field. But I do think because of Saquon Barkley, it gives them a little margin of error.
All right, well, look, it's getting a little sideways in Las Vegas right now. Raiders embarrassed by Andy Dalton and the Panthers last week. Antonio Pierce called out some of the players, and now they won't have Devontae Adams. He's out with a hamstring injury. Probably won't have Max Crosby. He's doubtful with an ankle against the Browns. Arguably their best offensive and defensive players either out or likely to be out. How do they maneuver out of this at home this weekend?
Well, the one thing, I'm not going to believe Max Crosby is out until he is actually not on the field on Sunday. I don't think he's ever missed a game in his career. So just that sliver of hope with that doubtful makes me think that maybe it happens just because he's never missed a game. But yeah, when you're down your best offense player, best defensive player, that is never a good situation. But the upside for the Raiders is that they might be playing the only team in the NFL that's more banged up than they are. You look at what the Cleveland Browns are dealing with. They're not going to have their starting right tackle, their starting left tackle. They just put one of their starting guards on injured reserve. David Njoku's not playing. So if you're the Raiders, you do feel a little optimistic because you are playing this team that's dealing with more injuries than you are. Now, with Devontae Adams out, I think that we'll see more targets for Brock Bowers. Jacoby Myers certainly will probably see some more passes from Gardner Minshew. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think the one thing with the Raiders, Tyree Wilson, the 7th overall pick in last year's draft. He is the guy who's going to need to step up if Max Crosby is out on Sunday.
Look, I'd say the Saints were the surprise team of the first 2 weeks, at least offensively. But reality, that comes quick in the NFL. They lost last weekend, and Chris Olave hurt his hammy in practice on Friday. Now he's questionable. Same for Alvin Kamara. He deals with knocks to his hip and ribs. Where do the Saints stand right now as they set to face their big-time rivals in Atlanta on Sunday?
Yeah, these are two brutal injuries that you don't want to see going into a showdown like this. We knew Alvin Kamara was banged up, but the Olave injury and just tweaking that hamstring in practice, that is ugly because that's your leading receiver. And then obviously Kamara, their leading rusher, and also their third leading receiver in terms of yards. So those are two of their biggest weapons. And if both of those guys are out, that puts pressure on Derek Carr. The offense runs through the quarterback, and if his top two guys are banged up, or if one of those guys doesn't play or both of them doesn't play, that means Derek Carr has to get other people in the offense involved, whether that's Rashid Shaheed. You've got to find someone else to throw to. And, you know, this is a great week for the Saints to be getting Taysom Hill back. He'll probably be back on the field, so I won't be surprised if we see him factor into the offensive game plan. But the Saints really have to figure something out here because you don't want to lose to your division rival this early in the season, especially when you go off to such a hot start. You go from 2-0 to 2-2. Not a great look.
Look, anytime the Chiefs play, it's a big game right now. All the challengers are coming at them. They haven't looked their best. They get the Chargers in L.A. Still don't know if Justin Herbert's going to play thanks to a high ankle sprain, the one he suffered in Week 2, and that knocked him out late in that loss to the Steelers in Week 3. Jim Harbaugh, he's put his own charge into L.A., but what kind of shape are they in ahead of a visit from the two-time defending champs?
Yeah, this isn't great if you're the Chargers. They're already Rashawn Slater not playing. You have Justin Herbert. If he's out there, he's banged up. He's going to be hobbled. Doesn't have a starting tackle. Joe Walt's questionable. We don't know if he's going to be on the field. And so I think this is kind of a dilemma if you're the Chargers, because if you put Justin Herbert out there and he aggravates that injury like he did in Week 3 against the Steelers, and now you're talking about him missing several weeks, your season kind of goes down the drain. So it almost would be smarter to keep him on the bench. You have a bye in Week 5 that gives him an extra week to heal, and then you have Justin Herbert at 100% going through the rest of the season. Now, that being said, Justin Herbert gives you your best chance to win. Obviously, you are playing the defending Super Bowl champs. You want to beat the Chiefs badly, so I know Justin Herbert will want to be out there. But look, if Justin Herbert's out there, that gives him a chance to win. So I do think he will be out there, even though keep him on the bench might be the smarter play here as far as the long-term situation goes for the Chargers.
All right, that right there is CBS Sports NFL writer John Breech. John, thank you so much. And CBS has 6 monster games on tap this Sunday. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets go for their 3rd straight win. Steelers and Vikings both looking to start 4-0. Texans and Jags facing off in an AFC South battle. Raiders and Browns both needing to bounce back and try to get wins after losses. And the Chiefs visiting the hobbled Chargers in our game of the week. You can watch live on CBS, stream on Paramount Plus, and of course, tune into CBS Sports HQ all day and night for the highlights and post-game reaction.